Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. We do apologize about the slight delay there. Thank you for your patience. We had some technical difficulties. We do apologize. Thanks for bearing with us. Just drop us a comment in the chat if you can hear us okay. Let us know where you're tuning in from in the world. I know most of the world is in lockdown. Before we get this started, hello, everybody. Hello, Chiara there. Hello, Ramu. Thank you for tuning in. Anybody else out there, please let us know. Give us a shout. Okay, we got a hello there. All right. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm just going to get started, and I'm sure some of you will start commenting whilst we are broadcasting. Okay, so good morning, afternoon, evening, guys. Welcome to the Introduction into Product Design webinar. Before we get into the meat of the webinar, we're going to give you a brief background into the people bringing you the webinar, which is UX Academy. Okay, thanks for the comments, Romu. Romu says sound is good, perfect. So we have the green light to go. So let's go ahead. All right, so just a brief, quick introduction about UX Academy. Okay, so UX Academy, so who are we? So UX Academy is a training company that's been running for just over 4 years now, delivering the best practice in UX design across central London and now online since March 2020. We are a team of entrepreneurs, enthusiasts, designers, thinkers, innovationists. And yeah, we just come together to deliver the best training courses that we possibly can. And what you can see in the picture is one of the past Mobile UX London events. Mobile UX London is a partner of ours, and I'm sure you guys would see some of the events coming up very, very soon. Okay, so now why do people train with UX Academy? Okay, so these are four main reasons. We do offer real project work opportunities to help you build and craft your portfolio in our courses. We deliver live UX training. Our training is delivered by real life teachers in real time, not on demand videos that you may get from other courses, but these are real life videos. Sorry, these are real life, this real life training delivered by live teachers who have been in the industry for at least 7+ years or more. So that's something good to know. We also do mentorship as well, which is a good opportunity for you to discuss UX life and bust out any challenges that you're having during the course or with your portfolio, or if you want to discuss any matters regarding UX design. Yeah, so those are some key reasons why you should consider UX Academy on your UX design journey. We've seen some more comments in the chat. Hello, everybody. Thank you again for tuning in. We do again apologize about the technical difficulty if you're just tuning in. So our students come from top companies at UX Academy. So we have people who either come from these top companies, as you can see, the names which you can see in the screen: Microsoft, Amazon, BT, Just Eat, Secret Escapes, Sainsbury's, Canon, the list goes on and on. I'm sure you recognize all of those wonderful names. So you have students actually come from top companies such as this, or they actually go on to work for top companies such as the ones that you can see in the screen. Moving on quickly. So what are some of the tools that are used at UX Academy? Slack for team communication, okay, for classes. We use Google Drive for sharing learning resources. Figma is a prototyping platform. We also have Zoom, which is used for conducting live classes. We have Miro, which is used for whiteboarding, online whiteboarding, okay? And then InVision is a digital product design tool, which can also be used in the course. Okay, so who can get involved in the product design course that follows this webinar in March, 2nd March? UXers can get involved, researchers can get involved, program managers, we have product managers and strategists, digital and interaction designers can get involved, data analysts and developers can get involved, product enthusiasts, pretty much anyone who's new to product design can get involved in product design course on UX Academy. Okay, so here are some testimonials quickly from our most recent students from the October 2020 product design course. I won't get into those right now for the sake of time. I don't want to bore you out of your brains, but feel free to visit myuxacademy.com/testimonials, and you'll be able to check out all of the testimonials from the students that we've had in the past, including the product design course. Okay, so I just want to remind you guys, just before I hand over to one of our lovely instructors, Ben, who will be teaching on the course, stepping in for Nick today. Now, there is a special offer for those of you that want to enroll into the product design course. Head over to myuxacademy.com/enroll. You can use the coupon code workshop12, and you should get a nice healthy discount on the total course. The total course price is £850, but you can get yourself a nice sweet discount there to save some money. And there's a special promo going on for those of you that enroll into the course just before March 22nd. You'll be able to bag yourself a free UX festival ticket worth up to £60. So if you sign up before March, or even sign up tonight, you'll make sure you get the link, access to your tickets, so that you have your place secured for the event as well. Okay, guys, so I'm sure this is the moment you've all been waiting for. I'm sure you don't want to hear me go on about UX Academy. Let's go straight into the content. Let's talk about product design. Let's talk about what it means to be a product designer. I'm going to bring Ben to the stage. How you doing, Ben? Can you hear me okay?
Hello, Adrian. Good evening, everybody, and
Perfect.
good morning, good afternoon. Hi.
Perfect. Great. So Ben's just going to, while Ben is just sharing the slides, I'm just going to show you what the course contains. So, you got idea, validation, development, research and testing methods, personas and jobs to be done, framework, UX design principles, visual design and prototyping, metrics and success measurements, and developer handover. So that essentially is the framework of the course for those of you who are curious. And I can see that Ben has got his slides ready, so I'm going to add them to the screen, and then he's going to take over. Okay, Ben, take it away, and I'll be back shortly for a Q&A. I hope you guys enjoy this one. Thanks again for bearing with us and for your patience. We did have some technical issues.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this short introduction to the course. My name is Ben Sauer. I am somebody who's been practicing UX and product for about 15 years now. I worked at a design studio called Clearleft here in Brighton, where I live on the coast of England. And I learned a lot of UX practice there. I got to speak and teach all over the world at Clearleft. I worked for all kinds of crazy big brands, went all over the world with them. I became an instructor in UX and particularly voice UI as well. And I am, my most recent role was global product director at Babylon Health in London. And now I'm an independent designer, so I get to do cool stuff like this with you. So let's talk about product design and the kind of things that you're going to get out of this course. And just to say, it's probably going to be me and Nick teaching the course, but we've just been agreeing which dates and on which sections of the course we're teaching. So these slides are slightly out of date. Apologies for that. We literally decided some stuff today. But you can see it'll probably be Nick teaching some of the parts of the course. He's head of product design at a banking giant, RBS. He's a really awesome teacher. And I'm sure you're going to enjoy spending time with both of us on this course. I don't think Julie's going to teach any of this, just to be clear. Okay, so what is product design? Well, let's be clear. Product design is, if you like, an emergent job title that is applied to the roles that are closely assigned, aligned with UX design. But in general, product designers are in organizations that do not necessarily have the resources to hire a large number of specialists. So product design is a role that encompasses quite a large numbers of the pieces of the product design process, whereas UX design tends to be a little bit more focused on a smaller number of things. Now, having said that, there's lots of really great UX designers who do anything and everything related to product design. But in this course, we're going to try to arm you with some of the skills you need if the job title says product designer, as in somebody whose skills and practice needs to be a little bit broader than just purely technical UX. So I won't read through this description, but broadly speaking, you're going to use an iterative design process to solve a functional problem with a formal solution. So in broad terms, what you learn in product design is how to go about identifying and understanding that problem. What is the nature of it for a user? What is the nature of the problem we're trying to solve for the business? And then how do we go about building up our ideas about what a good solution looks like? It's slightly confusing in that product design has a sort of traditional meaning in the industrial space, but when we say product design in the tech industry, we mean digital, generally screen, although that is changing very much with the emergence of voice and multimodal and things like that. But just to be clear, for the sake of this course, we're going to focus on screens. Okay, so what kind of things is a product designer going to get involved with, especially if they're taking on a slightly broader role? So lots of what they're doing is often related to what a product manager does, somebody who is there on behalf of the business, trying to deliver business outcomes and coordinating efforts. Then there's user research, right? Sometimes organizations have dedicated user researchers in cross-functional teams. Sometimes they don't. UX designers. I happen to be a UX designer who's not a particularly great UX designer or graphic designer, but I'm pretty good at designing flows and wireframes. So product design encompasses this skill. It's probably the biggest one if you wanted to kind of categorize it. Then there's strategy, right? How do you go about evolving an experience over time? How does it connect to other parts of the organizational strategy or the different parts of the experience that you're creating overall? Then there's UI design, right? So getting, apologies, my camera does this occasionally. Then there's a UI designer. This is somebody who is actually, moving the pixels around and designing like much more fine-grained details. And then there's UX copywriter. So obviously, if you're going to be in a team where the product designer needs to do a heavy lifting for a number of these skills, then it's really good idea to be flexing your content skills, right? Your content strategist skills is one of the other key roles that would take this kind of work on. Now, how do we approach this? How do we approach product? Well, if you go to the Design Council or to lots of the formal design schools around the world, you will learn something called the double diamond approach. Now, this version is a bit busy, so don't stare too closely at it. You don't need to. What you mainly need to know is the shape of the two diamonds. Okay, so the first thing we do is we discover, right? That's the first half. And discovery is a thing where we think broadly, right? So we kind of expand our minds and we explore a problem very broadly. We go and talk to lots of people. We do competitive research. We think with a very open-mindedness as to how what we need to learn in order to solve this problem. Now, once we have a better understanding of that problem and that market and all the things we want to do, we start to narrow down. And that is the process called definition or synthesis, which you can see is the second half of the first diamond. So now we start to boil down what we learn. This is kind of the detective work. Think of somebody, some conspiracy theorist with a wall full of bits of paper and drawing string and putting dots all over the world and pins. That kind of thing is what you're actually doing in definition and synthesis. You're drawing all of the things you've learned in your discovery together, and you're trying to kind of boil it down and say, this is the problem that we are going to solve. Okay, so then the next part is actually ideation or development. And that is a part where you have loads and loads of different ideas, because it turns out that once you've understood the problem, what you should mostly do, and studies really bear this out, is try to imagine as many different solutions to that problem as you can. In studies, for example, in ceramics, they've tested this quite extensively. If you ask people, okay, make me something of quality, they'll just go ahead and spend 2 hours making something that single shape as best they can. You know, they'll make a pot or something. But if you say to them something different and say, I want you to spend that time creating as many different ideas as possible, well, it turns out those ideas tend to be much more creative, which is why we think broadly. And then in delivery, you narrow it down, you test it, you say, okay, this is the best one. This is the one we're going to go ahead with for our product. Now, if you've worked anywhere close to digital in an organization that doesn't use a double diamond approach, or, you know, sort of old school organizations, they will actually just skip a lot of these stages and they will go straight to a solution. Somebody will just have an idea and they'll just crack on with it. So as a product designer, or any kind of designer that's doing their job right, they actually spend a lot of energy understanding the problem before they go straight to solutions. So what do we do in each of these phases? So in discovery, you know, you're doing interviews, you're doing your user research, you look at the strengths and weaknesses. Sometimes you do ethnographic research, you know, you think really broadly. Interviews, contextual inquiries, a really nice practice where we go and discover things in context. You can audit the interface. I'll show you a little bit of that in a while. You can do surveys. You look at metrics, you take a really broad look at all of the inputs that you might have. Then in the definition phase, what do you do? Well, we often boil down our thinking to maps. You know, we make maps of the journey that somebody is going through. We do flows. We make site maps if we're making some sort of website or app. Card sorting, and you learn about empathy, right? You're really trying to empathize with the person you're designing for. So you boiled all that down, you've got a good sense of what the problem is now and who we're designing for. Then you develop, right? You make loads of sketches, you have loads of cheap throwaway ideas, you make prototypes, you wireframe. Then you get into visual design. Sometimes if you're a really fast and talented designer, you skip straight to visuals. That's something that people do in product design. And then you iterate, right? You go through the process of really sharpening the design over time. And then deliver, well, you actually need to be able to document and hand that over to your team if you're working in a cross-functional team. So you've got to learn how to do that well. You've got to evaluate it. Maybe you run surveys. Maybe you test it with a larger number of users. Again, it's about sharpening that knife over time, sharpening the design. So what are the kind of skills you need to become a product designer? Well, a healthy sense of empathy, like really being able to put yourself into somebody else's shoes. Behavioral psychology really, really helps. Understanding what motivates people and what might actually push them forward within a process. The dark side of that is called dark patterns. We won't be teaching those, but that you can use a lot of psychology in your product work. Design principles, right? So there are general guidelines that you can use to guide anything that you create in digital, because actually the knowledge of that is really well established. You need to be goal-oriented if you're a product designer, because the business is probably going to push you a bit harder than, let's say, some other roles to achieve results, because you're filling more roles at once. And also, on the same note, it's a good idea to be very familiar with business requirements and be able to kind of take things that business stakeholders are saying and kind of make sense of them and turn them into objectives or things that you want to achieve. So let's talk about, just to frame the different kind of skills that are involved in being a product designer and sort of how these mix and match, right? So one thing you might do is, you know, an audit, as we're seeing here. And when you do an audit, you know, the different people who might actually use, or the different kinds of roles that are involved in creating interface like this all have differing opinions about, you know, what kind of lens they use to assess an interface. So here is a slightly lackluster banking interface. So actually we can use different lenses to assess this interface, right? So let's start with the product manager. Those are the orange ones with the PM, right? You know, what are the options we're providing from a business perspective, and how do they benefit the business, and that kind of thing, right? You've got to be able to look at the interface with those lenses. Then you might take the UX perspective, right? Actually, there's something here called the law of proximity about the way in which interface elements relate to each other that tells the user something. We can see that there's a problem here because the 58 pounds is disconnected from the available balance. So a user might not understand that those things are related. Then we've got a UI designer, right? Somebody who cares about the pixel perfectness of a design, right? Somebody who's looking at the layout very closely, the visual hierarchy, and they might, think about the fact that the colors aren't actually matching the brand, or they're not very exciting, or do we really need the brand in the user's face right now? And then the user researcher might be saying, is this the right set of menu items? Are the labels hitting the mental models that a user has here? Do they know, what a standing order is? Do they know what a direct debit is? And then, okay, we might finally, have many questions from a UX perspective about whether this is the right order of the information. So you can see there's a lot of crossover between these skills, but they have particular ways of looking at things. And then on this course, you're going to learn about a bunch of these ways of thinking about design, so you can bring them together for a product design role. Cool. So what are we covering? So we're covering idea validation, what it takes to develop an idea over time. You'll learn a bit about user research and how to go about testing something. You'll learn about personas, like how you boil down who you're working for, who you're designing for. The jobs to be done framework, also a very useful way of thinking about what a user wants to achieve. We'll talk about some of the design principles, the visual design and prototyping methods available. We'll touch on some tooling, not get too far into it, but we'll get into a bit of that. So what does it mean to think about metrics in your product? So what does success mean? And then towards the end of the course, you'll be thinking about, okay, handing over to a team to build something. That could be something small, could be the entire app, who knows? Now, product designers, these sort of slightly generalist designers, actually, a lot of them are actually the power behind some really important startups. So, for example, the founders of Airbnb went to a very famous design school where they learned how to be product designers, the Rhode Island School of Design, like Brian Chesky, people like that. And design is kind of right at the heart of everything that Airbnb does. I have friends there who've presented to Brian, and he will catch, he'll catch the odd pixel that's out of line and comment on it. A lot of CEOs don't do that, but you can see that there's an enormous strength in being a generalist designer. It can actually it's a career that can turn into a multi-billion startup enterprise. All right. So moving on, let's just clarify something about the difference between UX and product design. So generally, when we talk about UX design, a user experience is produced by an artifact and a user interacting together. So that's kind of what we mean, right? When we care about the user experience, we care about those things. And generally, the way that's done is it's done based on user needs, context, principles to achieve a desired experience. Those are the things you learn about that you try to define in order to produce that great experience. So generally, UX designers will go away and they'll understand needs, context, behaviors, then they'll design a solution, and then they'll test it. And the main two things they're looking for is this useful to users, and is it usable? Cool. Now, a good UX designer will always think broader than that, right? Like, is it meeting business goals and so on? Is it accessible? All these other things. But technically, if we talk about UX design, it is slightly more narrow than generally what businesses are asking for when they ask for a product designer. So product design does ask those UX questions, and a good UXer will also be asking those questions too. Is it easy to use? Is this what a user needs? But product design is a bit more multidisciplinary. It takes a wider look, or rather, the business is asking more of somebody in that role. So business goals, return on investment, They might even be asking you to do all of the visual design. Is it visually attractive? And thinking about process, right? Like, what are we using to assess our product, and how are we delivering to the team? How do we even interface with that team? So in general, and I don't think this is a universal rule, but as a product designer, you might be spending more time thinking about the business and the value proposition. I always did this as a UX designer. Let me just caveat this. It's just in the case of this role to businesses, they might be pushing you to understand more. So you're analyzing, you're doing more problem identification, whether that's at the business end or the process end. You've got a lot of other things going on that a UXer will be heavily invested in and may well be doing themselves, but I won't go into all of these in depth. You've heard a bit of them, but basically, product design tends to have a product designer tends to have a bit more responsibility for this wider group of things on their shoulders. When I was in the very early days of UX, and it wasn't even called that then, it was called information architecture in the early days, like 2005. Generally, all a UX designer would often do was just get up to wireframing. That was kind of their focus. They would just architect the site, and the research, the testing, all the other stuff would be done by somebody else. So on this course, what you're going to be doing is learning stuff each week, and then in teams, you'll have 7 weeks to design things. So you'll be going from sketches into wireframes or design. So you'll get to learn about the processes, you'll get to experience them as though you're working on a real thing, and then at the end you're going to be presenting that to some stakeholders. So we're creating a situation where we really want you to think hard about what you're delivering and feel really, really invested in putting the time in to get it right. Cool. We'll move on to questions in a moment. Just to say, this is a really enriching career. I'm so glad that you're here and ready to learn about this. It's going to be a lot of fun. I really love teaching. I'm super passionate about it. I love making the course really fun for you as we're going through it, and I know that you'll learn tons and you'll have a lot of fun with your teammates as you go through the process. Let me promise you that. Thanks for listening to me, and I'll hand back to Adrian for questions.
Excellent. Thanks, Ben, for taking us through a journey on product design. That was really useful. Let's quickly take some questions. So if you guys want to drop some questions in the chat, please do. I'm going to put the banner on the screen. If you have a question on YouTube, please get them in, and then we're happy to answer them. So I think what we can do is, while I'm waiting to get some questions in, what I'm happy to do is quickly show you another real life example of one of our students who actually took the course. So the objective of this student was to design a mobile app called Abodly, and this was for a real estate property rentals platform. Okay, so she was set some objectives. Abodly is a home sharing network which connects young renters to elderly homeowners. So the idea is that the people that look after the elderly people, they get rewarded by a free place to stay whilst they look after the elderly people. Okay. And the mission was to, by utilizing underused urban spaces through empty bedrooms, Abodly aims to create affordable housing whilst reducing loneliness and ultimately improving social cohesion. So this is some of the research Kanisha did, who took the course. She did competitive research comparing other property platforms such as Zoopla, Rightmove, Baddy, which are based in the UK, and even ones called Zillow, which are out in the States, in America. She put a affinity map together, which you learn what that's all about in the course, which is just basically essentially putting your ideas together from research. User personas, this is background research into the potential users of the product, trying to laser focus into who the specific user is going to be for that product. Problem and hypothesis. Kanisha had to establish what the problem was, and then come up with a mission to solve that problem. She designed some user flows, and then this essentially was the beautiful final design of the product that she did. So really beautiful products that our students have been designing on the course. And you can see some of the more work over here on the screen just now. Okay, so we're starting to get some questions in the screen. I think Ben is now ready to take them. Let's get them on the screen. So again, Ben, this is always a popular one. So product design versus user design. Please explain, please. Before Ben goes into that, I want to remind you guys that we do have a gift for you at the end, which will help you go into that in more detail. So Ben, I mean, again, just quickly go into the differences between product design and UX design.
Cool. Okay, so the emergence of the product designer role, which came after UX design, is reflective of the fact that some startups, for example, with fewer resources and smaller teams, needed to ask more of a designer, whereas a UX designer would be solely focused on, is this usable, is this useful to users, without a whole lot of consideration about the business or the performance of an app. The product design role is one where the business is asking much more of you. So it's a bit broader than just, is this a beautiful experience for a user? Now, having said that, a good UX designer should be thinking about that broader set of things, but this course is designed to tool somebody up with UX plus a bunch of other things, because that is what those organizations are expecting of you.
Perfect. Thank you
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, we hope that makes sense. Think Better. I think that's his YouTube name, or who knows. Okay, moving on to Kofi Bediako. Would you advise product managers to learn more about product design? Very good question. As a product manager myself in the past. Ben, what'd you say?
Hells to the yes. Yeah, no, really. I mean, there's a part of me, having done both, there's a part of me that thinks this is probably a little harsh, but I'm not sure you should be able to manage a product unless you've done some discovery, right? Unless you learned about how to do that problem-solving thing at the beginning. It's so important to understand that, even if you're not practicing it. So I highly recommend courses like this for product managers, and the skills are highly transferable and mutually supportive. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, couldn't agree more, being a product manager myself. Let's move on to the next one. Chiara, hey Chiara, thanks for your question. She says, what is the best way to start building a portfolio if we have no experiences? Okay, well, UX Academy is a good place to start. You do get to work with real life company projects. Ben, do you have anything else to add to that? Not really, is there?
No, I was going to say, right, coming to UX Academy will give you a really strong thing to put into your portfolio, but I'll tell you a little funny story about my career. So in 2007, it's a long time ago, I got really annoyed with the bus website in my city. I live in Brighton, down on the sea. And so I decided to do some user research and some UX on this website. And I made a report, and I made a set of videos of people using the website and failing to use the website. And I sent it to the bus company, and they paid me £4,000 for my research after I sent it to them. Okay.
Not bad.
Now, that's just an example of fake it till you make it, right? Like, like it's actually really, really useful to just solve problems and do things, even if it's not, requested. If you've got an itch or something that you think could be better, just go and practice it and get it in your portfolio. Because honestly, like when I was hiring in a larger organization, I'm not actually that concerned about your experience. What I want to know is what kind of problem solver you are. And if you can show me that and show me the work, I don't really care where you worked before. If you're a great problem solver, fantastic. I want you on the team.
Perfect. Well, that's a great answer. Hope you guys got some value from that. Moving on, keep getting your questions in, guys. We do have a bit more time left to get through your questions, so get them in. Right, so next question is Angeline. She says, I'm transitioning from architecture. What are the transferable skills required? Go for it, Ben.
Oh my goodness, what an amazing thing you're doing. My favorite book about design is 99 Things I Learned in Architecture School. I think that it's not so much the skills or what tools you've used or what domains you're familiar with. What you're actually doing is very similar, right? You've got a problem-solving mindset. You're saying, what does somebody want from this thing? What do they need to be able to do in this space? So I actually think if you're in architecture now, you've probably got a lot of the kind of styles of thinking already in play. And in fact, you may make a better designer than people who've never done that kind of thing before. So good luck to you. I think you might well be awesome at this kind of thing. And I wouldn't worry too much about which skills you need up front.
Perfect. Thank you, Ben. And move on to the next question. Irene asks, which steps would you suggest to get into a product design career if you are already in the tech field?
Yeah, so I mean, I touched on that, right? There's a part of this which is fake it till you make it. You've got to find an organization that's willing to let you transfer and grow if that's what you're after. That's a lot of my career, is just kind of getting nosy and interrupting things with people in other departments until they let me get involved. So what are the steps? I mean, you've got to get a portfolio together. You've got to prove that you've got that kind of problem solving experience and ability. Then you've got to find places where you can go. I mean, a good start is an agency, right? Because actually they're willing to take people in and get started on lots of different products. So maybe a smaller agency as well that's receptive to people more junior in their careers. That might be a good step. But again, it's a slightly fake it till you make it thing.
Yeah, and obviously consider the course, because that's gonna give you a portfolio on the back of studying, which is great. Okay, Josie asks, would you have any laptop recommendations for product design course students?
No, not really. I think one thing that's happening in our industry is that increasingly all of the tools are moving towards the web. So, the hot thing in design right now is something called Figma, which is all in the browser. So I don't think you need to worry about what kind of laptop you have to jump on this course. That used to be the case, but it's increasingly not as important.
Totally. Yeah, all our students use Figma and they really love it. Just the ability to collaborate with other designers in real time as well. It's just so smooth and yeah, it's great. Okay, another question from Kofi, and he asks, isn't a product designer more of a product manager with a design eye? Not exactly. Not exactly, no. Ben, I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, I don't. It depends on the organization, right? Is there a product manager in your team? Then they're going to look for more design skills from you. If there's no product manager, which is unusual, then yeah, maybe it would be that way around. But I think what you got to remember here is that design and the practice of solving problems through testing with users and creating artifacts that they can use, that is a much older practice than product management. So just keep that in mind, right? Actually, you're going to be a designer that's very informed about product. I think it's more that way around. And of course, we welcome product managers on this course because they can learn some of that stuff as well.
Yeah, and just to add to what Ben says, with my product management experience, my career, product management is more being a middleman between the developers, the designers, and your customers, the end user. So you're kind of more focused on the business side of things. You're more focused on how your customers, the end users, react to the product, and you're more focused on how your competitors are doing on the market and how you can quickly make changes to the product to help to boost the sales of the product. So just keep that in mind with regards to product management. You're more kind of business commercially focused, not necessarily getting involved in the design at all. All right. Okay. So let's move on. We got another question from Think Better. I think this is a better question. According to you, would be the future of UX and product design after 5 or 10 years? Before Ben says anything, I'll encourage you to come along to UX Festival. Okay, UX Festival is being run by our partners Mobile UX London. I would just drop a link to the website in the chat. One of the days on that event is going to focus on the future of UX. So I highly encourage you to pick up a ticket. Tickets start from £29 up to £60, including workshop tickets. Or you can you can get yourself on the course and you get a free ticket to come along. How about that? Ben, do you have anything else to add to that?
That's a really big question. what, what I'd say is this, right? Like, if you wanted to get into designing this kind of thing, like an app, 5 years ago, maybe a bit before then, generally you would go and study UX design. And now, companies are asking for product design. Now, what does this tell us, right? That essentially solving very similar problems changes its label over time.
Mhm.
But what that tells us is there are timeless things, right? Timeless things, like I was an information architect once. I then became a UX designer, and then I moved into product, and I'm also a product designer as well. Well, actually, the core thing that you're solving is always there. That's not going to change. We're going to have digital products in 5 to 10 years. The labels may change, the tools may change, but the core mentality, the processes that you use, they probably won't change.
Yeah. Awesome idea. Awesome idea. Romeo is back with another question. I don't know if he's asked the question before. Anyway, I'm currently coming from a graphic marketing design background, currently in dual position in the
Mhm.
startup marketing and product designer. Interesting. What would the course practical project workload be? Okay, I think this is probably a question for me. Okay, so Romu, in terms of the course workloads, what I do say to all of our students is that in terms of the course itself, you will be working with a real life client. So the lessons are 2.5 hours a week. Okay. And then you have mentorship, which is 30 minutes. That could be with Ben or one of our other UX experts who is teaching on the course on the side. And then what you have is the coursework. And you can expect to spend at least 3 to 4 hours a week on the practical side of the course, which is your coursework for the client. So I would say at least 3 to 4 hours each week on the coursework. But in overall on UX Academy, you can expect to commit at least 7 hours a week on the course. That can definitely go more if you put more effort into the coursework, which is great because our clients do hire, and we've had clients that have hired students on the spot. We saw that in December, just before Christmas. We got students currently on our UX design course who could get that again. So I'll encourage you to obviously commit as much time as you can, but at least 3 to 4 hours a week on the coursework. Okay, more questions in. We've got a bit more time, so we'll keep this going for some time. Chia asks, while designing an app as a UX designer, how can we be aware of all the tech aspects? How can we know if what we want to do is actually possible? Does that make sense to you, Ben? That question.
It does, yeah. It's a really
Okay.
important question, and in fact,
Mm.
I was discussing it with some students yesterday.
Yeah.
I think it's pronounced Kira. Kira, give us a thumbs up if I got your name right. So this is an important question, and I want to refer back to one of the godfathers, if you like, of product and design, Steve Jobs, right? He was very well known for being a designer or a product person who pushed the technology. He demanded a lot of the engineers at Apple. And that was how they got to really great products, was because he forced people to think beyond their first thoughts or their immediate limitations. So your job as a designer really is to understand the technical capabilities, right? You have to design something that's vaguely practical and performant for your organization. But your job also is to challenge engineers and to drive things forward, to make the technology produce something new. So it's a bit of a balancing act, right? You've got to be able to know what your team is capable of, understand what the technology is capable of, but also be able to kind of push the boundaries. Because if you don't push the boundaries, you kind of always produce things that are fairly unexceptional in a marketplace. So there's my 2P's worth anyway.
Thank you, Ben. That was a great answer. Okay. Tis is Hamin. Interesting YouTube names. Saying, I hear and saw about head of product role. What is that? Is that product design or product management? Okay. It looks like I think you're right with the name. I could just see the comment come in. So yeah. So head of product is more. I think it involves both product design and product management. It's overseeing the whole product in general, right?
Yeah, so just to say, it depends on the size of the organization, right? So at Babylon, I was a director of product. So I had 4 product managers and a team of hundreds reporting to me as a director of product. So head of product would generally be perhaps one step above a director as well. Like,
Mhm.
and it depends on the hierarchy and the structure of the business. But
Yeah.
yeah, those are more senior roles.
Yeah. But essentially, it's not just focused on product design; it's also looking at the product management side as well, right? Because it's
Yes.
everything. Okay.
Yes.
So I hope
Yeah.
that answers your question. This is Hammond. Thank you for that question. We got a question from Rafaela Pazito. I hope I pronounced your name right in the spirit of pronouncing people's names correctly. Hi, Ben. Thank you very much for sharing all this information. I would like to know how a junior designer can cause good impact and add value to a team. Clear cut, simple question.
Wow. Well, I mean, how can you do that? I mean, you can study hard and work hard and work on producing great results for your team. Again, it's a bit fake it till you make it. Like, for a junior to really take the opportunity to be bold and to put great ideas out there, it takes some sweat, it takes some work. But I have hired in the past some exceptional junior designers who completely changed the product. So don't limit yourself would be my opinion. A junior role can have a lot of say in a product in the right environment.
Perfect. Okay, guys. We do have a few more minutes for more questions. If you wanted to get them in, this is your chance. If we don't see any more questions come in, then we will start to bring this webinar to a close. Yeah, once again, you can get your questions in the chat. If you do have any other queries outside of the webinar or outside the chat, feel free to drop me an email. You can get in touch, adrian@myuxacademy.com. That's adrian@myuxacademy.com. Let's go back to the chat and see if there's any other questions. Doesn't seem to be any more questions. We'll give it a few more moments. And if nothing comes in, we will just start to bring this to a close. Here with can you hear the thunderous silence? And then there's a couple of questions at the same time. Okay. People still believe in product design. Okay, Wendy Creator says, what do you advise about getting familiar with programming languages before stepping into product design? That's a very good question.
You don't need to know them to do this course, and it's debatable if you're going to be a product designer whether you need to know any. It is a debate in the industry, but generally to get started, you don't need anything.
Yeah, thank you. I think Better's back. I have 10 years experience in 2D animation, graphic design, game design. Wow. I worked in 9 organizations in India. Now I'm in Birmingham. Fantastic. How UX design will help me in UK or product design?
Yeah, I mean, UX is a part of lots of those things that you've got some experience in. So hopefully it will broaden some of your existing skills. And then if you want a career in product or UX design, this is a great course to take to kind of introduce you to the important concepts. So yeah, hopefully, I mean, Birmingham's a big city. I'm sure you can find some organization, or if not remotely, that needs a designer with your talents.
Thank you very much, Ben. I hope that answers your question. Think better. Okay, maybe time for one more question if somebody wants to get it in now. Otherwise, we're just going to bring this to a close. And then Ben is going to head off. Okay. Looks like there's no questions. We're going to wrap it up now. Ben, if you needed to head off, that's more than fine. Thank you very much for joining us today, and I'm sure you've all got value from Ben joining in the webinar this evening. Thank you very much, Ben.
No worries, and I hope to see some of you on the course. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks. Bye.
Cheers, Ben. Thank you so much. Oh, now there's more questions come in. Okay, looks like you guys got questions in just after Ben has left. We did give you opportunity to get questions in. If you do have any questions, just feel free to get in touch, adrian@myuxacademy.com, or just get in touch with UX Academy. We will be able to help you out. Okay, so Pradip says, I have a master's of product industrial design. How hard will be the transaction or the transition, you mean? if you're talking about the transition into product design, in essence, I mean, it's all about experience. It's all about building a portfolio. So what I would say is, you just have to be willing to roll up your sleeves and put in some good effort into getting into the industry. I guess coming on to the course is a good way to start, Pradip. So, do consider the product design course, and we will give you all of the support, the accountability, the tools, the training to be able to break into the industry. And the work experience opportunities are also there. Abdul asks, is for junior German UX designer chance to work abroad? We don't provide jobs at UX Academy. We don't provide any work abroad experiences. However, what we do provide at UX Academy is work experience opportunities. They basically come from the UK. So if you come on the course, Abdul, we can connect you to some work experience opportunities during the course and also after the course. All right. And that doesn't matter where you're from, wherever you are in the world, you can get involved with UX Academy. You can get involved with work experience opportunities. Okay, so thank you guys for your questions. Okay, we'll just start to bring this all to a close. Okay, so once again, why should you consider UX Academy? All right, so in terms of the product design course, 6 weeks live lectures with interactive training and workshops. We use Zoom breakout rooms, Miro. Okay, so it's one evening a week because it's flexible. Okay, flexible in your schedule. So if you're working full time, if you're studying full time, UX Academy is a place that will be suitable for you to do alongside your schedule. All right, it's pandemic proven. Okay, so since March 2020, we moved everything online from central London, and we've had students from literally all over the world. Okay, so and we had students not just graduate but also get jobs with us last year, which is fantastic, and we were looking to see even more students get jobs with us this year. You're going to graduate with a professional portfolio, and you're going to automatically be eligible to apply for at least entry-level jobs. So that could be a junior product designer, that could be a UX designer, that could be a visual designer. Those are some of the skills that you will learn on the course. You have the opportunity to work in teams and build essential team building skills for future employment. So again, employees do want to kind of see your ability to fit in the team, because you will have to work as in a cross-functional team working as a product designer. So UX Academy will give you that skill sets. Okay, you're going to get access to tutors, to resources, unique insights, and CV, portfolio, and career support. So whether you're preparing for an interview, whether you want to put together a CV, whether you want to sharpen up your portfolio, you will have opportunities and support in that area. And then after the course, as I mentioned before, there will be post-course work experience opportunities, because we care about your portfolio. We want your portfolio to look good so that you have even greater chances to get hired. And we have seen that from our past students. And there's also weekly mentorship. Okay. Just a quick screenshot of how mentorship works. Okay, so weekly meetings with mentor, and the mentorship exists to address any project progress issues you're having and to remove any challenges that you're facing to help you move forward in your projects. All right, there's also opportunity for you in your teams on the course to ask any follow-up questions on the course, and to get ideas, to get support with any course tools that you're using, and to get a better understanding and maybe a deeper insight into some of the methodologies you've been learning on the course. You'll also be able to discuss UX and product life during the course and get some career advice. So you can head over to myuxacademy.com/mentorship for more information about how the mentorship works during our program. And you also learn how to get your own mentor after the course. Okay, I've seen a question. Someone's asked, is there certification on completion? And yes, there is. So when you graduate, you'll also be given a signed certificate from attending the course. All right. Okay, I just want to remind you guys once again that there is a special offer for those of you who enroll on the course. Okay, so the special offer is if you head over to myuxacademy.com/enroll, you'll be able to enroll to the course. Use the code workshop12. That's our gift to you for attending this webinar and taking some of your time out. We do appreciate that, and we don't want to take that lightly. So we do want to reward you with a small discount towards the course, which will go a long way. And again, I've mentioned to all of you guys, if you guys sign up before March 22nd, but in all honesty, the course starts on March 2nd. So if you sign up before the course starts, which is March 2nd, you will be given a free UX Festival of UX and Design ticket. Now, if you guys haven't heard of the Festival of UX and Design, it's a virtual conference that runs on a regular basis, which brings the best in UX and design. So you have top speakers and designers from around the world. You have networking opportunities to network with other UXers and designers. You have the opportunity to, to meet recruiters as well, which is great, to visit booths related to UX design. And there's also an opportunity for you to get involved in workshops. So you can check it out. Check out more information on UX Academy blog, or visit mobileuxlondon.com. The link is in the chat if you guys take a look. And yeah, if you sign up before the course starts, you get a free ticket to go to the event. So make sure you don't miss out on that. And again, this is the bonus material I did promise you guys for taking time out from your few busy days. You can head over to myuxacademy.com. If you visit the blog section, you will be able to find this special article, which is called UX design versus product design. So for those of you who are still trying to understand the difference between both of them, this is a great blog for you guys to take a look at. So please do check that out, and you have a better idea of what UX design versus product design is all about. Okay, so I think that brings us to the end of the webinar. I do want to thank all of you for attending the webinar. It's much appreciated. You're very welcome, and we hope to see some of you guys on the course. Remember, the course starts on 2nd of March. You only need to pay £199 deposit. I believe the deposit will be slightly less because you use the discount code. But yeah, save your place with a deposit, small deposit, and then there are payment plans available to spread the cost of the remaining payment of the course. All right, guys, so we're going to leave this on the screen so that you guys can enroll into the course for those of you interested, and we're looking forward to working with some of you in March. Thank you very much. My name is Adrian Daniels. I'm the head of sales and partnerships at UX Academy, and I hope you guys have a great evening, a great afternoon, or a great morning wherever you are. Thank you very much for your time. And once again, we do want to apologize for the technical issues that we had towards the start. So we did delay the webinar a little bit. Looking forward to hearing from some of you, and take care very much. Take care very much. Bye-bye.